gaming heroes, it's very good to see you here once again. In today's video, we're going to be diving right into the World of Warcraft forums to answer new player questions about World of Warcraft on a whole. I'm here to help you, my friends, so feel free to hit that subscribe button, click on that like button, and show some support for the channel. It's completely free. And hey, if you want to support me with some money, then check out my awesome dragon t-shirts in the link below. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so I've actually loaded up a bunch of questions that new players have asked on the new player forums on World of Warcraft. Going through these right now, let's just do quick fire answers as best I can. I'm not really going to look through all the comments because I just want to address the person asking the question. I think that's most helpful, so let's do that right now. Frost DK versus Ret Paladin, which fits me best? I want to play a plate mail wearing melee character using a two-handed weapon. Thematically, I like both the Paladin and the Frost Death Knights, so my choice will come down to the playstyle, and I'm not an expert with either. I'm particularly interested in the disease theme of Unholy. Being an average player at best and not having played in a while, I'm looking for something fun and basic. I don't have a ton of time to play, so I won't have hundreds of hours to perfect my playstyle. Which of these two would you say is more noob-friendly? Which has a more simple rotation? Does one or another of them require a lot of tracking and maintenance of buffs with timers? Does one or the other have a few unique skills and buttons to manage? I don't raid, just dungeons and questing. Power or meters aren't a real concern. I know both have a bunch of changes coming in the next patch. Okay, cool. So this is a really good question. Should you go, you want to play a plate mail wearing melee class that uses two-handed weapons. So that would be, Paladin, that would be Arms Warrior, that would be Unholy Death Knight, potentially. You could really go for any that you kind of wish, but going for the simplicity, I really think that Arms Warrior has a lot of simplicity that you will particularly like, especially if you say, as yourself, you're a very average player. That's fine. I like Arms Warrior because it has a ability which basically heals you all the way up to full health when you fall out of combat for 4 seconds. This is really good, just generally to keep your playstyle constantly going. You don't have to sit down and eat food or anything like that. You can keep going all the time. So I would actually suggest Arms Warrior to you for that reason. If you're looking to play a class that has some healing abilities, then a Paladin could really suit you just because, you're doing damage, but you can also use instant heals, which is really fun as well. Then, of course, for the Frost Death Knights is a little bit harder, but definitely has some great damage output that I think you'll really like. So it's entirely up to you from that, but my first suggestion would be Arms Warrior into Paladin into Frost Death Knight. The reason I say Frost Death Knight last is because Frost Death Knight can be played with one two-handed weapon or two one-handed weapons. It's really up to you in that regard. Okay, so next one is being a better rogue for raids and dungeons. And this is from someone called Lexa. To me, it seems like rogues have real trouble executing utility and knowing what it means to play their class these days. Gone are the days of good PvE rogues in raids and dungeons that helped their raids secure world firsts, break down mechanics for their parties when we didn't have guides and instances journals to provide us with all the mechanics of a fight. First of all, before I go any further with this, I just want to say, it sounds like he doesn't want a rogue. It just sounds like he wants someone to handhold him through dungeons. That's fine, but that's not just a rogue. That would be the leader of the group. So whoever signs up to be the leader of the group should be basically guiding you through that dungeon. Otherwise, they shouldn't be the leader of that group. That's how simple it is. I see so many rogues idle, waiting to do something for their party that truly knows what to look for and why. Interestingly, I see so many rogues trying desperately to beat other melee on damage, though it's nice to see high meters and contribution. Why does this guy hate on rogues so much? I don't really understand it. Their job is to do damage. That's what their job is. They're not that much of a useful class anymore. Blizzard have pretty much removed their usefulness from the group. They've got interrupts. Yeah, they've got really good interrupts and really good stuns. They can obviously use their shroud as well to make the entire group invisible for a short period of time. But outside of that, there's not really like a huge deal of usefulness that rogues can bring to parties anymore. So it's not like they used to be where rogues would really carry the instance. It's very simple now. They're just here for mostly damage and interrupts, if I'm dead honest. But generally, it doesn't really seem like he's got a question at all, so I'm just going to move on. Can I level up in Shadowlands? Yes, you can. Although, for your first time playing through World of Warcraft, you will be pushed down the Battle for Azeroth campaign, So you do need to actually level a character all the way up through BFA one time before you can actually go and level in Shadowlands in the future. So, So for brand new players, you want to be basically creating your character, you'll play through Exile's Reach, then you'll play through Battle for Azeroth until you're level 60, and then at level 60 you go to Dragonflight. On any future character after that first character, you'll be able to, at level 10, go to Shadowlands and actually level up to level 60 in Shadowlands. Entirely up to you. Play the game as you see fit, my friends. Okay, so this is the best questing run for a new player. So again, unfortunately with World of Warcraft, you don't really get a choice to kind of go wherever you want to go. You do have to go through Exile's Reach, then BFA for your first play through the game. Now, after that, you want to play again with, your partner or your friend, then I would highly suggest going through the Warlords of Draenor campaign. The Warlords of Draenor campaign is actually really, really enjoyable. You get to unlock your garrisons, you get to go through and help brave adventurers go and save all the Draenei or save the orcs, depending on the situation. You get to save people, and it's really fun campaign on a whole. I really, really enjoy the Warlords of Draenor campaign for both Horde and Alliance, so I would highly suggest on your second playthrough going through and playing that. Additionally, the actual Classic and Cataclysm campaign are really, really fun. To do that, it's really simple. Just level through classic areas in retail World of Warcraft until you get to level 30, and then at level 30 you can go and visit Chromie and start the Cataclysm campaign. The Cataclysm campaign will easily take you up to level 60. The Cataclysm campaign is probably one of the least played right now due to the weird function of it only being from level 30 to 60, but nevertheless it is a really, really fun campaign and I really, really enjoy it. Especially Vashj'ir is a really, really fun underwater questing zone. Next question is the Horde stronger than the Alliance? This is a really, really good question, and I would actually say yes, they are. And this is really like a minute detail that you shouldn't really worry about as a new player, but basically, all of the races in World of Warcraft have unique racial abilities, and the Horde have stronger racial abilities than the Alliance. There's no particular reason for this, they've just lucked out on general racial abilities on a whole, so there's a slight advantage, which is why you can see a huge proportion of high-end raiding guilds will actually start as Horde instead of Alliance, just for that slight advantage. But nevertheless, you can play as either. I play as Alliance, and I have a great time with Alliance. So this next one is, something might be wrong with my damage per second. I clearly see something is wrong with my build. I was embarrassingly placing 4th in most damage dealt in a mythic dungeon recently. I'm currently following the build what the WoW head says for devastation for its armor, and it's still not looking like it's giving any progress to move up. I see evokers placing 1st in most damage in raids, but it's hard to follow up since it's only a quick peek to look at their builds, and I only recently figured out you can enchant your armor. The hard part is trying to get better items in mythic dungeons. Don't think crafting orders would help at this point since I'm all out of Primal Infusion to make my items level higher. Okay, Dom Struth, I've got some really good advice for you. First is first, don't worry about things like Wowhead and that. Play the build that you think works best for you first is first, right? Because oftentimes it's not the build, it's how you play it that is actually holding you back. Now, to get around this, what I would actually suggest you do is download a Rotation Helper add-on. As a brand new player trying to get more DPS out of your class, this is going to be really, really hard for you to figure out, what the best players are doing, especially since you can't really watch them. You can only be in a dungeon with them or in a raid with them, and you don't really know what they're doing. So to best understand your class, I'd highly suggest you download an add-on called Heekly. Let me show you. Okay, so this is a priority helper. This will tell you the basic abilities that you need to use in your instance, and basically it's very simple. It just is basically a little bar like this, and it will tell you the rotation that you should be following. You just press the buttons, it tells you. It won't tell you to use your big cooldowns, like your 2-minute cooldowns. You've got to decide that for yourself. I find it's usually best to use them at the start of your rotation and then follow it from there. But generally, use Heekly Priority Helper just to get you started. And once you've spent about a week or two of using that, if you want to get rid of it and obviously just do it without, you can do, but it's really good just to learn how to play like that. Heekly is a really good add-on for just getting started with your rotation. At that point, feel free to, go on Warcraft Logs, which is a website I personally use right here. And then if you want to just quickly find what other evokers are doing, you would go down to Raids right here. And you select a boss that you want to check out. Let's just check out Eranog in this instance. Okay, then you would go and you basically select the classes you want to check. So click on all classes, go down to Evoker, and then go down to Devastation, for your damage dealing. This will load up all of the various damage dealing evokers, and it will also load up their talents that they're using, and you can go ahead and copy those talents if you want from there, or you can click on each individual like so. Clicked on each individual, you then go down, you find them in the charts just like so. You click on that name, and then you go to summary, and you can actually see what talents that person is using individually. And you can actually export and put that into your own game in World of Warcraft. This is how you can make sure you're using the exact same talents as the best in the world. And also you can go down and look through all of their various armor. You can look at the enchants, the gems, everything that they are using. That's how you can improve your DPS. Good luck. What do you recommend I do once I hit max level? This is a really, really good question, and I hate to say it, but it depends. It depends entirely on you, my friend. What do you want to do? Do you want to do PvE, which is player versus environment, killing bosses, killing dungeons, killing raids? Or do you want to do more of a player versus player? Do you want to potentially meet other players in almighty combat and defeat them, doing objectives like Warsun Gulch, capture the flag, or things like that? Or potentially maybe you want to start more of a casual type of gameplay where you collect mounts, pets, toys, transmogs, whatever you want, you name it. There's so much to do in World of Warcraft, it really caters to everyone on a whole, so feel free to just get involved in the game, I'm sure you'll love it. Someone says, world quests in Saramar, where? So the world quests that start in Saramar, you actually have to do a whole campaign quest that starts in Dalaran, I believe with Khadgar. So go over to Dalaran, find Khadgar, and that should start your quest campaign to go to Saramar, and then eventually you will unlock the world quests by starting the whole campaign for Saramar quests. So this is a rogue beginner's guide, and it doesn't honestly help at all. The guy's just trolling, and it's a bit silly, but you know, it is what it is. He's just saying he hates the rogue so much. That's fine, hate the rogue all you want. A rogue's a really hard class to play. A lot of people think the rogues are a really simple class to start with. Rogues are probably one of the hardest classes in the game to play. Just generally, they are extremely difficult. They have a lot of buttons that you need to press, and it's not a play style that's very forgiving. You have to kind of preemptively understand you're going to take damage, and then you have to preemptively like use your heals, use everything before you've taken the damage, so that when you take the damage, it tops you up straight away. Because if you take the damage, then use a heal, you're already taking too much damage. It's kind of a weird one. It's very odd. I played main rogue for about, how many expansions? I played rogue for about 14 years before I kind of switched to druid permanently. I just find the druid more useful. But on a whole, rogues, you want to make sure that you're using interrupts often, you want to make sure you're using stuns often, and you want to make sure that you're keeping things like slice and dice, your evasion, things like this that keep you alive up all the time, because the biggest issue as a rogue is your health. You're always low health, and it's very frustrating. So, new tank in World of Warcraft, need to understand the core mechanics. Great. All right, this is really good. So, tanks in World of Warcraft, your goal on a whole is to take the aggro of a group of mobs or a boss, and then maintain that aggro as your group damage deals them down. Your job as a tank is really prioritize things like interrupting the targets, things like maintaining all of the aggro, and things like stunning targets when and if you can. Outside of that, you want to keep a good rhythm of pulling mobs. You don't really want to have a ton of downtime, and then your eyes always need to check before you pull how much mana your healer has. If they have enough mana to heal you, then pull again. If not, then say MB, which stands for mana break, and wait for your healer to get some mana. When they get to about 50 to 60% mana and they're still drinking, just pull, because by that point they will get to about 100% by the time you're, a quarter way through the pull, and you'll be able to top up your own health more than likely. Raiding as a tank, there are such things as rotating the taunts. So the way that a boss will work is you'll taunt the boss, and you'll start fighting the boss, and you'll have the boss aggro for a little bit, and then you'll get a spell cast on you, and this spell typically increases the damage of the next spell it casts on you by like 1,000% or something ridiculous like that. So if you keep the aggro from the boss on you, you will probably die on the next time that gets cast on you. So this is where your other tank in the raid group will then taunt the boss off you until that debuff, the spell, actually ticks off and times down and gets off you once again. Then you can taunt back off the boss, and it's kind of like a rotation like that. But to help you best with actually understanding this, there's an in-game guide that you can use. It's called the Adventure Guide. Press Shift and J in-game, and then you can actually look through all the dungeons or all the raids and actually find out the tank mechanics for yourself individually. Just click on the boss, then click on tank, and it will actually just guide you exactly what you need to do on a whole. So looking for a guild, someone suggests, you know, is this guild dead? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so first things first, if you're looking for a guild, just press J in-game and actually go to the guild finder, and you can find all the various guilds you're looking for. Cross-faction guilds if you want to. You can even find PvE guilds, PvP guilds, whatever it is you're looking for. Find a guild that suits your style of gameplay, because that's how you'll be mostly happy. It is worth noting that if you're a new player and you're joining a player versus environment guild, just bear in mind that a lot of the time they don't really want to take new players through Mythic Plus, because they're pushing like plus 20s and things like this. So you might want to, you know, join a new player type of guild where they can help you, and, you know, you can meet other new players and get to know the game before you start to progress into those higher level guilds, because a new player might not enjoy a high level guild straight away. Someone says, unlocking Kol Tiran. I found the questline on Wowhead and I'm going to start it from ground zero tomorrow. If I solely focus on straight through beginning to end, how long does it roughly take them? Not going to watch any cutscenes or read any quests. I know I don't need any rep anymore. So what are we talking about? 4, 8, 2? Okay, so for hours wise, I'd probably say it's going to take you around 8 hours, maybe more, depending on how experienced you are as a player. You have to go through the entire BFA campaign, and then I believe you also have to go through the war campaign as well, which is quite short, to be honest, but nevertheless, you know, it's probably going to take you around 8, maybe 10 hours, depending on how quick you are, and if you're doing this at max level, or if you're doing it on a fresh character. It really does depend, but it's quite a long campaign, but it is enjoyable, actually. I think you should probably read the quest. You should probably watch the cutscenes. BFA has some really good ones. Enjoy it. 2 screens open on the same computer. I have a 49-inch screen. First of all, no one cares how big your screen is. I'm just going to say it. Sorry, but no one cares. I have 2 screens on it, and I always search on YouTube to get answers for some quests. When I try to listen to YouTube, I lose the sound of WoW. Is there any way to keep the sound of WoW while I search YouTube to keep the sound of both screens? Yes, there is. Just go to the audio settings, exactly like this guy suggests here, and you simply tick on the sound in the background. It's that easy. Thanks, Nobully, for answering that question. Hi, everyone. I was wondering, do you still have access to Covenant mounts if you change your allegiance? I thought I had read somewhere that you no longer do, but I thought I'd double check. Thanks for your help. No, you don't get access to your Covenant mounts if you change Covenant. You only get access to the mounts that are with your particular Covenant. That's the way it works. It's a great system, to be honest, so it means it encourages you to actively have multiple Covenants and multiple characters. Which spec for mining? Mining process, metallurgy, and mastering elements are my choices. I'm only mining to make money on the auction house, not self-crafting or anything. What's the best route to go? This is a really, really good question. It's entirely up to you, because you can make gold with all processes. I personally like to go and put 1 point into mastering the elements, and then I put everything into mining process until I get the ability to mine what's still atop my mount. Then after that, I go ahead and either put it into metallurgy, into like the rare elements, into the rare ores, so you can get really rare ores whilst you're mining, or you can go ahead and put it into mastering elements and just get loads and loads of rousing elements, or, you know, awakened elements. It's really, really good, and I highly suggest doing it. I have a guide on this, so check out my channel on, I believe it is how to make your first 1,000,000 gold. Unlocking Chromie Time. Can a new player unlock Chromie Time with an evoker pretty fast? I don't know much about how it unlocks other than requiring a level 60. Okay, so literally, very simply, once you've unlocked... Once you've leveled your character up for the first time through Exile's Reach, and then eventually through BFA, and then eventually through Dragonflight, when you come to create your next character at level 10, you will have access to Chromie Time. Just open up the map, and either in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, go to the hourglass symbol, and that's where you'll find Chromie. From Chromie, you can really simply just select the actual area that you wish to level through, and this is like basically expansions. You go Legion, you go Warlords of Draenor, whatever it is you want, do that. Any guild UI add-ons? This is true. Like, okay, so I just find the current guild UI to be pretty atrocious, and wonder if there was any decent add-ons that allow you to modify how it looks, or maybe even revert it to the one used in Classic. I haven't been able to find any, and I do just want to add to this. I think that there should be a way in guild to actually to sort by player. A lot of the time, as a guild, you'll have a character join, and then he'll bring his ults in, and then that person might become toxic or say some nasty things in game, and you want to remove that person from your guild. Unfortunately, you cannot, because it doesn't allow you to access all of their ults. It only basically allows you to access notes, and if they haven't put their notes that it's that person, you can't really remove them. So I think that they should probably add in a feature that you can search by person or player, and then that way you could actually find all of that person's characters and remove them, so that they don't cause problems or create toxicity when you're offline as a guildmaster or as an officer. That's my thoughts and advice, and generally they should be a kind of rehaul on the guild stuff, because it could definitely be improved There is definitely too many drop-down menus and settings hidden away. They should really open it up and make it a lot more simple for players on a whole if you're a guildmaster or an officer. How to get to Nazjatar? This is a really, really good question. Follow the BFA campaign until eventually you're told to go find Jana, and then you can find Jaina, and then you can find Jaina very simply in Nazjatar. Just follow the quest line through. It is a BFA quest line. You can't just go straight there. You do have to do the whole quest line to actually get there. It used to be, you used to be able to get straight there really quickly and easily, but they patched it because people were using it for leveling exploits. How can I get rid of stutters? This is a really good question. I used to get them myself, especially when I stream, and it's usually because your graphics card is either needing an update, or you just haven't got a good enough graphics card. Or maybe you're just going through Elwyn Forest and the trees there create so much stuttery problems, it's unreal. So my advice there would be very simply lower the quality of your gameplay, lower the quality of your game, and you can just drag that bar all the way down to basically give yourself more enjoyment in the game. It will lower the graphics quality, but you will have a smoother game as a result. Okay, and there we have it, my friends. We actually looked at tons of questions that new players had for World of Warcraft. I'm going to try and check on this every month or two and basically answer any questions that new players have on a whole. I really, really hope I helped you guys some way, shape or form. If it did, hit that like button and click on the subscribe button below. It's completely free. And hey, if you want to support me in any way, shape or form, check out my Patreon where you can get access to awesome World of Warcraft guides. And if you want to get an awesome t-shirt, then check the link in the description. I'll see you guys there. This is Erosium,